welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Wendy, and today I'm going to go over the 14 books that I read this month in the month of March. So I want to go ahead and start off with the DNFs that I had this month. I had 3 DNFs this month, the first one being Murder Lo Mein, which is the third cozy mystery in the Noodle Shop series. I just really don't love the characters in this one, and I have decided to just not continue. They were continuing to be mid books for me, and so I just didn't really want to waste my time anymore if I wasn't absolutely loving them. The next DNF that I had was Give Me Butterflies. This is a new release that just came out. I was really just not interested in this story. I feel like there were moments it was extremely cringy to me and insta-love. And it was just not my style. It was not believable. And I felt like everything felt extremely rushed and unrealistic. The next DNF I had was The Orphanage by the Lake. And this one, I simply was just bored. I got to 40% of this arc and it is out. So I'm not really sure why it's an arc on NetGalley. I don't know if they're doing a recover or what. But I just did not enjoy this. I also listened to the audio and I just felt like overall I was extremely bored, and I really had hoped that this type of a thriller would have been more entertaining, but it just really wasn't. So the next one I'm going to go ahead and get into are my 3 stars. The first one is Close Your Eyes and Count to 10. I do have a full review video for this one. I will link below, so I'm not going to go over it, but I gave this 3 stars and I will put the release date here. Overall, it was a good thriller, but not really that great. The next 3-star that I had was Powerful, and this is a novella to Powerless. And I just don't love novellas, as you guys kind of know. It's just not really my thing. Honestly, I find it hard to be invested in a story when it's really short in general. Abby has been able to write some short stories that I loved, but overall, I just don't typically really enjoy them. This one is following a side character, and I just thought it was okay, but honestly, it was skippable in my opinion, and I didn't really find it necessary to continue the series. I'm going to get into my 3.5 stars. So the first 3.5 star I had was Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is actually a really great rating for me for Elsie Silver. I have had so many misses. I'm very excited to say that I will be continuing this series. I thought this book was so much different than all of her other books. Her other books tend to be very physical based and just focused truly on that and that alone. This one I felt had a really great plot going on, and there wasn't any spice until I would say probably this portion of the book. So a good portion of the book, there was nothing, there was not a lot of mention of it. Because you know how sometimes in books, even though there's not a lot of open door scenes, there may be a lot of talk about the physical, and that's typically her style. And thankfully, it was not like this. It was very much a slow burn, and I was so thankful for that. I will say that I was bored in some moments, but overall, I really did enjoy this story, and there were some cringy open door scenes towards the end that I had to skip, so I will say keep that in mind. But 3.5 is a really great start to this series, and I'm definitely excited to continue. So the next 3.5 I had was Hunger Games, and do not come at me. This is a really great rating. I really did enjoy it. I'm very happy that I went into this and read it despite watching the movies already. I have not read Hunger Games before, if you don't know that, and so this was my first read. And I will say that if I had read this when it first came out, this probably would have been a 5-star at the time, and I probably would have continued 5-starring it upon rereads because of nostalgia. Unfortunately for me, I missed that moment in time. I did absolutely adore the movies, and so because I've seen the movies first, I feel like that does take the suspense out of the story, which is part of what makes it a great read. So unfortunately, that wasn't as entertaining because of those reasons. I knew everything that was going to happen, but I did absolutely enjoy it. And there are details in here that I feel like they don't have in the movie, specifically about Haymitch. I enjoyed seeing more to his side, so that does make me really excited to read his story. But overall, I do highly recommend reading Hunger Games, even if you have watched the movies, because I do think it's worth getting those extra details, and it really is just like a timeless series. Also, this edition, stunning. Absolutely stunning. It's a box set on Amazon. Run and get it. I think it's still on sale. Okay, so that brings me into my 4 stars. So the first 4-star I had was The Right Move. This is the second book in the Windy City series. I love this one so much more than the first one. This is following Ryan, and he is the brother of the main female character in the first one, and he plays basketball, and her friend is the one that is the female main character in this story. I cannot remember her name. I'm drawing a blank. But I adored this so much. It was so sweet. Ryan is just one of the sweetest characters. I loved reading this also because my daughter has recently been loving basketball and she just started her journey with that. So it has made me excited about watching basketball, reading about basketball, and I am not that type of a person. I've never watched any basketball in my entire life, never played it. But because she's excited about it, I have become excited about it. So I really enjoyed reading it and knowing actually what they were talking about since I've been involved in that a little bit. It was super exciting to me. But I just simply loved the characters in this one. I thought they were both such sweet people. And I really loved that it was a slow burn and also that it was not high in the spice content. There were some open door scenes, but much, much later in the story. And in the first book, that is not the case. There is quite a bit of it. So I was very excited about that. I actually could have rated it higher. My main complaint is, again, the length of the book. I just think these books are too long for romances. If I felt like there was some other plot line going on, like some action things going on, it would make more sense. But because this is a romance, I just didn't see enough going on that it needed that length. There were several moments where just not a lot was happening and I was starting to get bored. So I just really think it could have been wrapped up sooner. The next 4-star I have is Daisy Hates, and I lent this book out so I don't have it with me, but I love this story and I'm so happy because Magnolia Parks was just okay for me, but I had really high hopes for this one because in the first book they introduced some of these characters and I was immediately intrigued. There is so much more action in this story and I was here for it. So I did give this 4 stars, and this is following Daisy Hates' story along with Christian. There is 3 POVs in this and it is just a really great time. This does have quite a bit of language, so keep that in mind. Mostly closed door scenes, not really much of that going on. It's not described. So I did appreciate that, and there is gang violence in it, so just keep that in mind. But I just thought the plot in this story was so gripping, and I'm very excited to be continuing The Long Way Home next month. The next book that was a 4-star for me was The Raven Scholar, and I do have a video complete review reading vlog on this, so I will link that below and not get into details since I said everything in that one. But 4 stars for me for an epic fantasy sci-fi genre is really great, and I was completely surprised. It is very confusing at first, and it does take some time to really understand it, about 20% or so. I considered DNFing it, but I'm so glad that I didn't, and I will be continuing the series, and I will put the date for the release there. The next 4-star that I had was Reckless, and this is the second book in the Powerless Fantasy trilogy. I really enjoyed this one, but I do think that it got a little monotonous and redundant, And so for that reason, that's why it wasn't a 5-star, but the quotes were still incredible. I love these characters. That's the main reason I enjoyed it. But I do understand why some people thought this book was mid or disappointing, because it is a little repetitive compared to the first one. So that is my one complaint about that, but I am super excited to be reading the third one as soon as it comes out, because just in general, I'm obsessed with these characters and I want to know what's going to happen. And it's the main reason that I'm enjoying this series so much. The next book that I gave 4 stars was Catching Fire. I just finished this yesterday, the last day of the month, and I did enjoy the audio, but I do think reading physically is much better. I felt like this was so much better than the first one, in my opinion. Just plot-wise, there's just different things going on where the first one is solely focused on the games. This had some different things going on, so I did enjoy this more. Of course, I have seen the movies, so again, this probably would have been a 5-star had I not already known everything that was going to happen. And so that does take down in my enjoyment, but I'm still really glad that I read it, and I'm continuing the rest of the series this month because ultimately I want to get to the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and the newest edition, The Sunrise and the Reaping, because I have not watched the movie of the ballad. I didn't even know that was out. And so that will be completely new to me. And of course, Sunrise and the Reaping is completely new. And so I'm very excited to read those. And I think they're going to be much higher ratings just because I don't actually know what I'm getting into with those. So I'm very, very excited. The next thing I'm getting into is my 4.5 stars. So House of Blight would be my first 4.5 star. I did have a review on this one as well. I will link that below so that you can go watch it. Really, really loved this one. I will put the date right here of when it is releasing, but 4.5 stars is great. There were a few moments where it slowed down and I got bored, and that is the only reason for docking a 0.5 star. But overall, such a great romantasy coming out. I highly recommend. I think there was only one open door scene and some language here and there. So the next 4.5 star that I have was Powerless, and let me just tell you guys, if you want to go on Goodreads and read the millions of highlights I have on this in Reckless, I encourage you to do so, because the writing in this book is absolutely stunning and captivating and poetic, and that is the biggest reason for my rating. This does rip off Hunger Games quite a bit, and at first I was very frustrated with that and I was trying to get past it, but it was really bothering me. But then it got into the trials that they went through, the challenges, and is just the way that he describes his feelings, I can't put into words, but it is just captivating. And the audio for his voice is so incredible. I did not love the female audio, so just keep that in mind, but the male audio was just top tier. I felt like there was just so much he would say. I literally had to highlight pages from his POV. I mean, most of my highlights on Goodreads are completely from him. And so for those reasons, I ended up giving it a 4.5 because I just was completely captivated by the writing in this book. And I did get over eventually that there was a lot of similarities between other series, not just Hunger Games, just lots of fantasy series. Obviously, challenges are very overdone, so keep that in mind going into it. But I do think that her writing is top tier, especially knowing that she started this when she was really young. And she does remind me a lot of the Magnolia Park series as far as the writing style goes. I think that they both do such a great job of just writing out emotions and thoughts and feelings in such a new way and a captivating, poetic way that I really, really just will be reading their books simply because I adore their writing style. So they may not have the best plot as I felt in this one, but you're still captivated by the other things. So how many times can I say captivated in one video? Moving on. So now we're moving on to 5 stars. I had 3, which by the way, guys, I have a lot of 5 stars so far this year, and it is just because I've read so much more than I have in the past. I will put the total book count here, but it's the 3rd month this year. My goal was 100 books, and as you can see, I'm well on my way to reaching that. And so keep in mind that although I have a lot of 5 stars so far, I've also read a lot of books. So last year, I still had a good amount, but not as many. And it's just because I'm reading so much more already. Or maybe I'm just finally picking the right books. I don't know. But my first 5 star is First Time Caller. This one is a rom-com style romance that is reminiscent of Sleepless in Seattle. And let me tell you, it is so nostalgic. It is so sweet. That is the main reason I gave it 5 stars, is I just felt the nostalgia so much. I really, really enjoyed this one. I felt like it was just a happy-go-lucky story. While it did have some deeper themes in it, like divorce, I just loved this overall, and it does have a Cancer trigger in there as well, so keep that in mind, but it's brief. I just had such a great time, and I'm so excited to continue the series. She's going to have 2 more, one after You've Got Mail, and the other one, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what the other one is. If I remember later, I'll put it here. So I definitely will be continuing the series. This is not going to blow you away. It's not some epic fantasy that has like all kinds of monumental moments, but I think that there's something to be said about reading just a great, happy slice of life romance that just reminds you of the older days. And that is exactly what this did for me. She accomplished what I was hoping she would, and so that is why I gave it 5 stars. The next book that I gave 5 stars, which is also in a review, and it is in the same video as The Raven Scholar. It is My Lucky Charm by Courtney Walsh. This is a St. Patrick's Day themed rom-com, but you do not have to read it around St. Patrick's Day. I don't feel that the themes were that heavy in it, and it is another hockey romance. I adored this one. I would say it's enemies to lovers, but I really think that the guy is sweet to his core. Once you get to know him, you will understand. And it does have the single dad trope, and I just was obsessed with this one so much. I loved it. So I will link the video to that full review below. And then my last 5 star of the month would be Falling. And I'm so excited to say this because this is a thriller. And if anyone knows me, I just don't typically love thrillers. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I just picked the wrong ones, but I'm the type of person, if I'm gonna read a thriller, I expect it to be fast-paced. I expect it to be thrilling. And if it's not, I'm very let down and disappointed. I don't really love when nothing surprises me, when it's extremely slow burn. That's just not my style. And so I haven't found a great one in a while. So if you have suggestions, please list them below, because I really just don't read thrillers hardly at all because of this reason. I guess I just have certain expectations when it comes to those. I don't know. So far the only thriller author I have loved and have loved everything I've read by is Riley Sager, except for Final Girls and Survive the Night. I loved all of them. And I do really enjoy Ruth Ware as well. I've been really loving her newer stuff. So let me know below. But that is all that I have for you this month. But I hope that you were able to find some books that you're interested in. A lot of these are new releases. It was our spring cleaning month with Hannah's book club, where we were tasked to pick a bunch of books off our Kindle and just clear them out. And so I really worked hard on doing that and getting a lot of NetGalley books done. I'm super excited to say that I accomplished that. And I am just looking forward to the month of April because there are so many new releases coming out. I am just ecstatic for. So until next time, friends, remember to read what inspires you. Bye.